Okay, we'll get started. First question from me. Jess, back into the round of 16 here at the Australian Open. Just give us your thoughts on the match today and how you played.
Really happy to be back into the fourth round. I think I've played some really good matches, been very efficient, I think, score-wise, time on court. Today was really tricky. I didn't know that much about her. She's a lefty. I think she's definitely probably going to, do pretty well the next couple years. I think she'll definitely, swing probably into the top 50, I would imagine. She's tricky. She's a good player. So, we had a couple tough games there, but I thought I was able to kind of grab the momentum when I could and served very well and just was able to execute my game plan.
David, we'll start off with you.
Starting an hour earlier than usual may not be a big deal, but it may have impacted your routine in some way. I'm just curious how it did and the relief of maybe having to start earlier and not have to deal with the conditions as much.
Yeah, I figured it was because of the heat that was coming in. So I think once we kind of knew that was the reasoning, I think most of us were okay with it. Just a little bit earlier bedtime, maybe earlier day, but it's a little bit different, but not crazy. I think we're all used to it, and I think I would much rather have played first and hopefully won efficiently enough to kind of get out of that heat as quick as possible. So for me, it was definitely probably a good move. I'm glad, though, that they did have the roof open for us. It was closed for a while. I think they weren't quite sure maybe what they were going to do, but I wanted to be in the heat a little bit, because I might have to play in it in a couple days anyway. So it was nice that it was kind of open, worked out perfect in my case. So I was fine with it.
Did you feel like it hotter as the match wore on?
It started to get a little hot. I just tried to use the ice towels as much as I could, just pre-cooling a lot. Not necessarily that it felt that hot at the moment, but if it did start to creep up or if something happened and we go into a third, I definitely think it could kind of zap you pretty quick with how hot it could get. And the fact that we haven't been playing that much in the hot temperatures, I think is what gets people, is you have no kind of tolerance to it, and then it all of a sudden comes out of nowhere, which I think we're used to happening here, but it's hard to prepare for that. So was just trying to prep with the ice towel.
Tumaini, Charlie, and then Matt.
A lot of the players who kind of live or train in Florida, like when they're asked about the heat, just kind of shrug. I'm curious, like, what's actually the worst conditions you've played in? Like, has there ever been a scenario where you were, I guess, literally and figuratively cooked during a match?
Definitely here a couple times. Florida is just, it's so hot that, I think we're a lot more used to it because when we go home, it's hot most of the year. So we're usually hit with that heat pretty much all year round when we're training. So I think it's just kind of in our blood. Like, you definitely get used to it. In the winter, in the preseason, it's definitely not as hot. So we're not quite as tolerant to it when we come here. There has been some hot days here. I remember in the past, the few other years I've played, I would say Cincinnati can get really hot. DC can get really hot. I would say not so much hot, but really humid is during Miami Open. Sometimes those night matches. I remember playing, I think it was probably Iala, Raducanu, Potapova one night match. It was just like, you felt like you couldn't breathe. You were like in a steam room. So that's more of like the humidity really zapping you. But I would say, Cincinnati and DC can get pretty hot, I think. It's really hot, humid. They can kind of zap you pretty quick.
Charlie, then Matt.
I just wondered if you've seen reports, PTPA, Tennis Australia, talk of a kind of, another new version of the tour and that sort of thing. And I just wondered if you had, what you made of it, especially in the context of the kind of ongoing discussion that the players are having or not having with the Slam.
Yeah, I didn't really read the article. I just saw the headline. I honestly don't really know anything about it, so I don't really know if I can say anything. But someone kind of sent it to me. It was like, Live Tennis Tour or something, like a joke, and I was like, I didn't even read the article, so I kind of have no idea what it's about.
As a follow-up as well, you mentioned about doing the ice cooling and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just wondered what other steps you take to prepare for playing in heat, whether that's the things you eat or drink or, tension of your racket, that sort of thing.
Yeah, tension, luckily, I kind of stayed the same, but I definitely string a couple rackets tighter just in case I feel like the ball's flying on me. As far as preparation, I think I just try to eat, really well and make sure I fuel up the day before. For me, don't really love eating too much the day of or right before. So for me, it's always the night before, a lot of hydration the night before, taking my usual, electrolytes, getting some good carbs in, and getting some good sleep, I think is always the best prep. But to me, at least with the people I work with, it's always kind of the pre-fueling that's more important than even like the day of. So I try to do that as best as I can. And then, sometimes if it's super hot, they'll tell you to get in the cold tub like before you go out. I haven't really done that many times. Maybe if I had singles and doubles and I wanted to kind of do it in between, I would do that. But with an early start, I wasn't quite ready to get into the cold tub at like 8 a.m.
Well done, Jessica. You're so consistent. It's really hard to tell, like, when you're playing really well versus when you think you're playing.
Yeah.
And so I'm sort of curious, like, what are the clues that you have in your head of when you're on the court and you're having a really good day, as opposed to just your basic solid day, which is really solid?
I think for me, it's, I guess when I don't know, I play a little differently, I feel like, than some players. Like, I like to use my feel in my hands a lot with how I strike the ball, and I'm not kind of muscling. I'm not like using a lot of my body. So for me, I feel like when my footwork and I feel like I'm kind of flowing into the ball is when I am kind of playing my best tennis, where I'm able to change the direction of the ball and hit winners. I'm able to find angles. I'm kind of flowing into the net, finishing balls at the net. And for me, it's kind of where I'm not really trying that hard. It's just kind of happening because I'm just kind of seeing the ball, timing the ball well. My footwork, is good. And I always feel like when I get into that kind of flow state, that's always when I'm playing my best. Because for me, I don't kind of strain a lot. I don't muscle the ball that much. It's really a lot of timing and footwork and spacing and taking the ball early. So when I feel like I'm flowing into the court and kind of like almost maybe I hit a couple winners that I wasn't even trying to, I'm like, oh, like I must be kind of feeling it today. But you can kind of tell with your timing, and the ball kind of like looks like a watermelon a little bit. Like, you don't feel very rushed. You kind of feel like you have all the time in the world. I think those are kind of some cues where when players, they just know that they're kind of feeling it, But for me, it's definitely a lot of timing, moving into the court, and it's kind of effortless.
Ben?
Much stats there's been kept on this, but I think next round will probably be the first match in Grand Slam history between two podcast co-hosts. And so I'm curious.
That is true.
So I'm curious for you what your sort of programming plan is. This is a big opportunity for the show. Do pre-game, post-game, mid-game
Yes.
stuff, flying out, Brady and Kravchuk for courtside commentary. Whatever.
Yeah, we're gonna go live.
What are the plans? This is like the biggest stage you could want. You get
I know.
RLA for hours.
Maybe we should tell Des she's here. She can go live on the pod during our singles match. Actually, I think we're going to try and record tomorrow, since we have a day off tomorrow, to get our episode for next week. But yeah, I mean, we kind of saw that we were in the draw, and then obviously we knew. I honestly didn't really realize it until last round that if we both win, that we would play each other. But I mean, we're so used to it. Like, it doesn't really change that much. But yeah, maybe it'll help the numbers on the pod. If we film tomorrow, we can kind of market that it was like us recording before we had to play each other.
An hour of trash talk, or what would it
Yeah, maybe that's what we should do. We'll see what kind of segments we can come up with. It could just be like a trash talk segment before we play. But yeah, I guess it's kind of funny. But I mean, we're so used to playing and being around each other. It's not really that big of a deal.
Last few questions. Yasmin, go ahead.
Jess, you said obviously you're so used to playing friends, but I'm curious what it's like for the rest of the group chat when two of you play each other. Like, now, will Des and Jenny, will they make jokes? Will they message the chat during the match, or do they keep it away from you guys?
I don't know. I'm trying to think the last time. I don't know if we played when we had the pot. I don't know. But in the chat, I mean, they'll just say, have a good match, guys. Like, have fun. Go out there. Like, whatever. It's not that serious. I'm trying to think. I think we did. I don't remember what they said last time we played, maybe at the Open a few years ago. But no, they keep it pretty light. They just, I think, want us to have fun and have a good match, and they know one of us is going to get through, but just as long as, no one, I don't know, falls and hurts themselves or something like that, it's usually a pretty low-key vibe, I guess.
Last question here.
More a boring tennis one related to yourself and Maddie. As you say, you know each other so well. What do you need to get right to get the better of her? Because obviously there is something bigger at play in terms of this Australian Open title that you're all after.
Yeah, I mean, she plays very well down here. Obviously, we know that. She's defending champion. She's, I think, kind of embracing that and has been playing some pretty good matches as well and, you know, pretty straightforward. So it'll be interesting. I think I need to kind of go back to the drawing board and look at some things I need to change. The last few times I played her, I feel like I just, you know, she played well, I think, in Adelaide last year, but I do feel like I'm doing some things better this year, you know, in the last 6 months where hopefully I can use those tools and it'll help me when I play her in a couple days. But yeah, I kind of need to figure out some things that I need to do different against her because, you know, I've lost the last couple times and she's the type of player when she's on, I mean, she can beat anybody. We know that. So, you know, I'm just going to have to kind of use some of the tools I think that I've gotten better at and hopefully they work. We'll see. But yeah, I'm, you know, excited for the challenge to kind of hopefully turn that around a little bit.
Okay, thank you, everyone. If you want to stay put, Madison will be right in as well.